I walked into my own retirement party, but my son said, "Dad, this is a business event now. Maybe you should head home early." That was the moment I realized everything I'd built over 40 years meant nothing to him anymore. Let me back up. My name is Robert Morrison, and I spent 4 decades building Morrison Sons Construction, from a 2-man operation to a company with 300 employees across the Pacific Northwest. I started with nothing but a beat-up truck and a toolbox my father left me. When my wife Sarah died 6 years ago from cancer, I threw myself even harder into the work. It was all I had left, besides my son. My son Derek is 38 now. I brought him into the business when he was 22, right out of college. Taught him everything I knew, every job site, every negotiation, every mistake I'd made, so he wouldn't have to make them himself. 5 years ago, I made him CEO. I kept my position as chairman of the board and majority shareholder, but I wanted him to run the day-to-day operations. I was 62 then, and I figured it was time to step back. I kept 52% of the shares. Derek had 25%, and the remaining 23% was split among key employees and some private investors. I never thought those numbers would matter. He was my son. I trusted him completely. Derek married Amanda 3 years ago. She came from money, old Seattle money. Her father owned a chain of luxury hotels, and she'd grown up in a world I'd only built houses for. From the start, I could tell she looked down on what we did. Blue-collar work, she called it once, wrinkling her nose. But Derek loved her, so I kept my mouth shut. The problems started small. Derek stopped asking for my input on major decisions. Amanda would make comments at family dinners about how the business needed to evolve and modernize. She'd say things like, "Robert, you built something wonderful for your generation, but times have changed." Always with that patronizing smile. Then, 6 months ago, Derek told me they were planning a retirement party for me. "Dad, you've given your whole life to this company. You deserve to be celebrated." I was touched. I didn't want any fuss, but he insisted. "It's not just for you. It's for the employees, the clients. They need to see this transition happening." I agreed. They set it for October 15th at the Fairmont Olympic Hotel, the fanciest venue in Seattle. Derek said the company would cover everything. "You've earned this, Dad. Let us do this for you." He told me they'd invited 300 people, all our major clients, employees, industry partners. I spent weeks getting ready, preparing a speech about the company's history, thanking everyone who'd helped build it. I even bought a new suit, which I never do. Sarah always picked out my clothes. This was the first suit I'd bought since her funeral. The night of the party, I arrived early. The ballroom was stunning. Ice sculptures, a full band, tables with real linens and crystal glasses. I felt proud that my son had organized all this, proud of what we'd built together. Derek and Amanda were already there, greeting guests at the entrance. When I walked up, Amanda air-kissed both my cheeks. "Robert, you're early. The program doesn't start for another hour." "I wanted to help set up," I said. She laughed, that tinkling laugh I'd come to hate. "Oh, we have people for that. Why don't you just mingle?" Derek barely looked at me. He was on his phone, typing furiously. I walked into the ballroom. I recognized many faces, guys I'd worked with for 20 years, clients whose homes I'd built. Their kids' homes too. But when I tried to join conversations, something felt off. People would smile, make small talk, then quickly excuse themselves. Like they were uncomfortable. I found my seat at what I assumed would be the head table. There was a card with my name on it, but it was at a table in the back corner, near the kitchen doors. Table 14. I counted. There were 20 tables. I stood there, holding that little place card, trying to make sense of it. "Dad." Derek appeared beside me. "Is there a problem?" "I think there's been a mistake with the seating." He glanced at the card. "No, that's right. We needed the front tables for clients and board members. You understand. I'm the founder of this company, Derek, and I'm still chairman of the board. Amanda materialized on his other side. Robert, this isn't really your party anymore. We've expanded the concept. It's become more of a company celebration. A look toward the future event. Derek is being honored as CEO of the Year by the Northwest Business Association. That's the real focus tonight. I stared at my son. You didn't tell me that. He shrugged. It just came together last week. It's a great opportunity for the company. You want what's best for the company, right? The party started. I sat at table 14 with people I didn't know. Vendors and subcontractors. Nice people, but strangers. I watched from the back as Derek and Amanda held court at the front table, laughing with clients I'd known for decades. The speeches began. The MC, some professional Amanda had hired, talked about Morrison Sons Construction, but he talked about it like Derek had founded it. Under Derek Morrison's visionary leadership, the company has expanded into commercial development and sustainable building practices. My 40 years got mentioned in one sentence. Of course, we honor the foundation laid by Derek's father, Robert, who started the company back in 1984. Then Derek stood up to speak. He talked for 20 minutes about his vision for the company's future, the new markets they were entering, the corporate partnerships he'd secured. He mentioned me once. My father taught me the value of hard work, and now it's time for the next generation to take what he built and transform it for the modern era. Transform what I built, like it wasn't good enough as it was. I sat there, my prepared speech folded in my jacket pocket, and realized no one was going to call me up to speak. After Derek sat down, Amanda stood. Before we continue, I'd like to address something. There's been some confusion about tonight's event. While we're grateful for Robert's past contributions, this is really a celebration of Morrison & Sons' future under new leadership. Robert, we know you're tired and probably ready to head home. Please don't feel obligated to stay for the whole evening. The room went silent. 300 people heard my daughter-in-law tell me to leave my own retirement party. I looked at Derek. He wouldn't meet my eyes. I stood up. My chair scraped loud against the floor. Everyone was watching now. You're right, Amanda, I said, my voice carrying across the ballroom. I walked out. Nobody followed me. I sat in my truck in the parking garage for a long time, just breathing. Then, I pulled out my phone and made a call. Richard? It's Robert Morrison. Sorry to bother you on a Saturday night. I need you to prepare some paperwork for me. Yes, tonight. I'll pay whatever it takes. Richard Chen had been my lawyer for 30 years. He tried to talk me out of it, said I should sleep on it. But I'd never been more certain of anything in my life. The paperwork was ready by Monday morning. The next board meeting was scheduled for the following Friday. I didn't tell Derek I'd be there. He'd gotten used to me skipping them, trusting him to handle everything. I walked into the conference room at exactly 9 a.m. Derek was mid-presentation, showing slides about a major new development project. Amanda sat beside him. Though she wasn't on the board, she was taking notes like she belonged there. Dad, Derek said, genuinely surprised. We didn't expect you. I'm still chairman of the board, I said. I believe I have a right to attend board meetings. I took my seat at the head of the table. Derek recovered quickly. Of course. We were just reviewing the Harbor Point development. It's a $200 million project, the biggest we've ever undertaken. We've secured financing and are ready to break ground next month. Who approved this? I asked. The executive committee. We met last week. Without the full board? Derek's jaw tightened. Dad, we can't wait for monthly board meetings to make time-sensitive decisions. The executive committee has authority to. The executive committee has authority to recommend, not to approve projects of this magnitude. Any project over $50 million requires full board approval and sign-off from the majority shareholder. That would be me. Amanda leaned forward. Robert, with all due respect, you're not involved in the day-to-day operations anymore. You can't understand the complexities of. I understand the bylaws of the company I founded. Derek stood up. Dad, what are you doing? This project will triple our revenue. It's the future of this company. I'm sure it is. Unfortunately, I'm withdrawing my approval for this project and any other projects approved without proper board procedure. The room erupted. Board members started talking over each other. Derek's face went red. "You can't do that," Amanda shouted. I looked at her. "I'm the majority shareholder. I absolutely can. And here's what else I'm doing." I slid folders across the table to each board member. Effective immediately, I'm removing Derek Morrison from the position of CEO. I'm resuming that role myself. Derek grabbed the folder, his hands shaking. "You can't. This is Dad. We can talk about this. Furthermore, I'm initiating a full audit of all company finances for the past 6 months. Richard, our attorney, is here to oversee this process." Richard Chen entered the room on cue, briefcase in hand. "What the hell is this?" Derek's voice cracked. I stood up. "This is me, protecting the company I built. A company that apparently was being bet on a $200 million project without proper oversight. A company whose CEO thinks board procedures don't apply to him. This is because of the party?" Amanda's voice was shrill now. "You're destroying your son's career because of a party?" "No, Amanda. This is because my son humiliated me publicly, then proceeded to run my company like his personal piggy bank. The party just made me pay attention to what I'd been ignoring. The audit took 3 weeks. Richard found irregularities everywhere. Derek hadn't stolen money, nothing criminal, but he'd been reckless. Unauthorized bonuses to himself and Amanda, who he'd put on the payroll as a consultant at $200,000 a year, despite no qualifications. Expensive business trips to resorts, company cars for both of them, leased at premium rates. The Harbor Point project wasn't fully funded like Derek claimed. He'd committed the company to massive debt based on projected future earnings that were wildly optimistic. If I hadn't stopped it, Morrison Sons would have been bankrupt within 2 years. Derek called me 6 times a day for the first week. I didn't answer. Amanda sent emails, then letters, then showed up at my house. I had Richard send her a cease and desist. Finally, Derek showed up at my door at 6 in the morning, 3 weeks after the board meeting. He looked terrible, unshaven. "Dad, please, can we talk?" I let him in, but I didn't offer coffee. "I'm sorry," he said. "Amanda and we got caught up in, I don't know, the lifestyle, the image. She grew up with so much, and I wanted to prove I could give her that world. I lost sight of what matters. You embarrassed me in front of 300 people," I said quietly. "People I've worked with for 40 years. You told your wife to dismiss me from my own retirement party. I know. I was wrong. I was so wrong. Dad, please, give me another chance. I'll do better. No." The word hung in the air. "I'm 68 years old, Derek. I spent 6 years watching your mother die, 6 more years working myself to death to avoid the grief. I gave you this company, trained you, trusted you, and you couldn't even let me speak at my own retirement party. Dad, I'm not giving you another chance because I don't trust you anymore. And without trust, we have nothing." He left. I stood at the window and watched him drive away. The company thrived over the next year. I brought in a professional CEO, someone with no family connection, just pure competence. I restructured the board, brought in independent directors. We grew carefully, responsibly. Derek and Amanda separated 8 months later. Turns out when the money and status disappeared, so did the marriage. He's working as a project manager for one of our competitors now. He's good at it. He always had the skills, just not the character. He sends me a card every year on my birthday. I don't respond. People ask me if I regret it, if I'll ever forgive him. Here's what I tell them. I spent 40 years building something that mattered. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into every foundation, every frame, every roof. I did it for my family, for my son's future. But respect isn't something you inherit. It's something you earn. And when someone shows you they don't respect you, believe them. My son made his choice that night at the Fairmont Olympic Hotel. He chose status over character, image over integrity. He chose to humiliate the man who gave him everything because it was convenient for his career. I made my choice too. Some people say I'm too harsh. That family should forgive. But here's what they don't understand. Real love sometimes means tough consequences. If I'd let Derek continue, I wouldn't have been loving him. I would have been enabling his destruction. The company is worth 3 times what it was when I took it back. We've endowed scholarships for kids from blue-collar families who want to go into construction. We've built affordable housing in 6 cities. We've made a difference. Derek could have been part of that. He chose differently. Do I miss my son? Every single day. Do I regret my decision? Not for 1 second. Because at the end of my life, when I'm gone, Morrison Sons Construction will still be standing. And it will stand on a foundation of integrity, not entitlement. That's my legacy. Not the company itself, but what it represents. The idea that you can start with nothing and build something that matters. That hard work and honesty still count for something. That respect isn't given, it's earned. My son learned that lesson the hard way. I learned something too. I learned that sometimes the hardest thing a father has to do is let his son face the consequences of his choices. Not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of love for something bigger than both of us. I learned that no matter how much you love someone, you can't sacrifice your dignity for that love. Because without self-respect, you have nothing to give anyone else. I still keep that place card from table 14 in my desk drawer. The one with my name on it, stuck in the back corner near the kitchen. Sometimes I look at it and remember that night. And I remember the man who walked out of that ballroom. The man who decided enough was enough. The man who chose himself for once. That was the night Robert Morrison retired from being everyone's doormat. And the night the real Robert Morrison stepped back up. No respect, no company, no exceptions. Not even for family. Especially not for family. Because family should know better.